Dude, did you know that reprogramming your mind can transform all of your automatic behaviors? Let's talk. Hey guys, welcome to another Mind Right Monday. I'm your host, Bonnie Kelly. Today we're going to talk about how you can reprogram your subconscious mind. Now, before I get into my 3 ways that you can begin to do that, let's talk about why you would want to reprogram your subconscious mind in the first place. Now, if you're new to this topic, you might want to check out some of our other videos as I talk about how your past experience shape your belief system, which is driving your behaviors and actions now as an adult. So there's links for that are below. But in summary, your subconscious mind is estimated to control 80%. Yes, you heard me, 80% of our actions, reactions, and interactions. So 80% of what we do on a day-to-day basis is controlled by our unconscious or subconscious mind. Now, there's been talk on the different types of the language. You can fill in the blank. I know that scientifically they talk about the unconscious mind more than the subconscious. Either word works for me. All right. So if the unconscious mind controls a lot of your day-to-day behaviors, well, that is where you're going to want to spend the majority of your personal development work in investigating what is in the subconscious mind and what programs are operating in the first place. By recognizing what's there, then we can begin to decide what we want to change. But by changing the fundamental aspects of your unconscious mind, you can then use your brain or use your unconscious mind to then drive results and actions in your life. For example, if you desire to have a millionaire mindset, well, if your unconscious mind is stuck in lack and poverty, because that's conditioning and programming, those unconscious programs will constantly sabotage your best efforts to become wealthy. Same is true, fill in the blank, with weight loss, or with love or intimacy, or even just self-confidence and self-worth. Whatever programs are installed in the unconscious mind are driving a result that we're experiencing in the outer world. That is why you want to start working on reprogramming the subconscious mind. Now the big question is, how do I do it? Bonnie, I get that seems like the most important thing to do, but where do I begin? And this is where I'm going to help you with my tips today, starting with the first one, which is get to the root. All right, guys, as I mentioned, your unconscious mind is really the culprit that is driving a lot of the actions and reactions. So if you can imagine that your patterns of behavior are kind of like a tree. If you are just looking at the tree from the surface up, you're only seeing half the picture. It's the roots. It's what's lying under the surface that is fueling and feeding this mighty tree. So we need to get to the root. We need to know these questions. You got some pen and paper ready? Because here we go. Number 1, what bad behavior or bad habit do you operate on? What is it? And then start to ask yourself, how is it rooted in the mind? Because one program, now I'm going to share with you the most common in a moment, but one program can be rooted in the mind in a lot of different ways, similar to how the roots of a tree spread deep, far, and wide. Those roots are what is feeding that tree. So that belief is infected in a lot of different areas. So we need to get to the roots. Just like if you want to kill a weed, you got to pull it from the source. Now, if you really want to dive deep into this conversation, much deeper than we're going to go here, then you got to get a copy of my book. TrueToYourCore.com is where you can get it, or on any Amazon retailers. It's going to teach you step by step, systematically, how to reprogram and reboot the subconscious mind. However, let's take this one step further for now. All right, so getting to the root, we have to know what program and why. But let's talk about the common core beliefs. So some of the most common ones that people just like you and I are operating on are, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm unlovable, I don't deserve, I'm not capable, I'm stupid, I don't matter. These are some of the most common viruses of the mind. They're programmed in our unconscious mind. So when you really think about Why can't I lose weight? That might actually be rooted in the mind because you feel that you're weak. And if there's a belief system that you're weak and you don't follow through, well, that's why that program is going to be driving that behavior and keeping you stuck in a cycle of self-sabotage. So we need to get to the root. You need to understand what is happening in the unconscious mind that is causing you to behave this way. All right, now that's number one. Let's get into number two on how you can begin to reprogram your mind. And that is repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay, so there is really no substitute for repetition. How do you think those programs got rooted in the brain in the first place? Repetition. We experienced something over and over again. We thought about something over and over again. We felt something over and over again. And what happens is then the neurons in the brains begin to form highways or pathways in the mind. And the more it's repeated, the stronger that it becomes. So once we've done the work of number one, of separating or getting to the root and pulling the weeds out of the mind, well, now we need to replace them. And that's through repetition. And not just repeating the same affirmation over and over again. Because affirmations are just thoughts. If we're not taking that thought to a deeper personal level, where we incorporate feelings or we incorporate action, well, then that neural pathway is still going to be weaker than the old program. So for you to begin to truly change the unconscious mind, the subconscious mind, you have to be willing to repeatedly and habitually create a new neural pathway. And that requires repetition. This is where it can get tricky because your brain works on autopilot 80% of the time. And so we have to find ways to constantly remind ourselves to do something different, to think different, to speak different, to act different, to be different. Are you with me? All right, so this leads me to my third and final one, which is you got to change it up. All right, so this is where we got to change it up. So kind of building on the last couple. Step number one, you need to know what is lurking in the mind and then to begin to de-weed the mind. Figure out why you believe this way, where it comes from. Step number two is we need to repeatedly start to insert new behaviors and patterns over long periods of time. Step number three, we need to start changing it up. All right, until a program or this belief becomes habit, we need to be tricking the brain. All right, I bet right now, if you're looking around your room, you might notice things that you haven't noticed in a while. I mean, when's the last time you stopped and really admired the artwork in your living room? Well, if you're like most of us, and it's been there for years and years, it's just in the background. You don't even really think about it, and you don't really appreciate it as much anymore. It's not that it's not amazing, it's just that is just common. Your brain, it sees it as familiar, and thus it just doesn't even think about it. So when we're choosing to reprogram the subconscious mind, you have, and I mean this, you have to absolutely be willing to change it up. So this means maybe 1 week you focus on changing your thoughts around this. The next week you change the emotions around it. Now that means you need to generate an emotion. That could be done through art or pictures or even music. And so you generate this emotion, and then you are expressing or experiencing this new pattern. And then last but not least is then maybe you're doing actions. Maybe this week you're creatively painting a masterpiece of this new program. Or maybe you're just you're doing push-ups while affirming it. You're doing things differently. So you want to change it up. So then that way the neural patterns are strengthening in a lot of different facets, that your roots are growing deeper and wider in the mind, so that way your new program sticks further. Okay, I know that was a lot of information, but hopefully it has answered your question. This video comes from viewers just like you. So somebody emailed and said, Bonnie, how do I reprogram my subconscious mind? And thus came this amazing video. If you're ready to ask me a personal development question, email me at getinspired@bonniekelly.me. We're here for you every step of the way. Did you enjoy this video? I sure hope so. As I mentioned, they're brought to you from viewers like you. You can email us anytime at getinspired@bonniekelly.me, And if you're ready to start your personal dev work right now, then go check out 21dayemotionaldetox.com/free. That program is ready and available for you right now and with no credit card required. So begin to start taking action. The beautiful thing is, I give you 21 different exercises to practice. Talk about changing it up. Grab your copy now, and I look forward to seeing you on the flip.